And hello YouTube, this is GSmaniamsmart, and I'm doing a brand new video for Gaming with GS, and today we're going to talk about Guild Wars 2 and the recent Reddit AMA that developers from ArenaNet had concerning the last update, Fire Rising, the new Living World Season 3 Episode 2 release, and we're going to talk about legendary weapons, how they've actually returned to the game and development on them has continued after they were recently indefinitely suspended, which many people thought would be cancelled. So we're going to start off with the AMA summary first. I'm basically gonna go over all the important points, all the cool comments that I saw. There were like close to 1,000 comments in the thread, and there were several comments from ArenaNet that were compiled that I saw. And I'm basically gonna go over all the important ones, all the cool ones, all the ones that I think you'd find interesting, so you have an idea of what information has been leaked. If you don't have a Reddit account and if you didn't read it, you have some idea of what the rest of us are seeing. And then after that, we're gonna go over legendary weapons, talk a little bit about that, because I do want to touch on that and how things have changed, because legendary weapon journeys actually have changed and not how they used to be anymore. So first off, I think the best comment in this entire Reddit AMA that was written is probably the fact that we could possibly be getting a new PvE map every release where there's a big patch and a new episode is added to Living World Season 3. Now this is really huge, and it's really exciting too, and really cool, because I love the new Ember Bay map, and if they can continue to hold that quality bar up there like Bloodstone Fen was, like Ember Bay was, those maps were great. If we can continue to see these great maps come into the game with every release, that would be extraordinary. Not only that, but it actually affects so many different things. If you take a look, this actually really shows how the quality and the quantity of content has increased, and it's actually gotten better compared to Living World Season 2 and Living World Season 1. Yes, with Living World Season 2, we basically got an update every 2 weeks or so. There were small updates, and sometimes there basically were huge breaks, and then they will come back and release more updates every 2 weeks. At least now we are getting a consistent schedule where every 2 or 3 months we're getting a new map, most likely, some new story missions, a lot of new content to go through, perhaps even more PvP maps, additions to fractals. Not only is it really showing how ArenaNet has gotten better at doing their job and releasing better and more content, but it also is better for the players, because we actually get to experience more maps in the new regions. We actually get to play more. It actually attracts more players to the game, seeing that there's new maps coming out. It keeps people playing longer. It keeps people interested. It keeps the game fresh. And the fact that there's new content being added every 2 or 3 months with a new map and all kinds of new other things, we're actually having a pretty healthy release schedule with enough gap in between for people to play the content and enjoy the content, and then new content to come out again. But there's another level of that makes it really good as well, which is the fact that Heart of Thorns is actually going to have more value for its price tag than it ever did. We can all agree that Heart of Thorns probably wasn't the best expansion pack. A lot of things were disappointing, a lot of things were really well done, but it definitely had some things that we thought could have been better. A lot of people didn't like the Heart of Thorns expansion pack, and they never bought the expansion pack. But I would say now that we're actually getting possibly a new map every single release where a new episode gets released, this adds so much more value to the expansion. If you thought, hey, only 4-5 maps was not enough, well, guess what? You're getting more maps now, and this could possibly sway you into buying Heart of Thorns and enjoying the rest of the content, because if you bought Heart of Thorns, it's basically free. I think you've gotten a lot more content than the $50 price tag was actually worth. So this is definitely something you want to invest in, and if you haven't bought Heart of Thorns yet, I think now is the best time to buy it, because obviously if there's a sale, wait for the sale. I don't know when the sale's gonna be, but they do have sales for it. But you can confidently make the purchase. I think a lot of people can confidently say now, hey, yes, I'm gonna buy Heart of Thorns because I'm getting a ton of other stuff, such as the Ember Bay map, such as Bloodstone Fen, such as who knows how many maps are still gonna come out this year even. I mean, the next release is probably scheduled to come around November or December. We probably get another new map then. You have another new map on top of all the other maps you got from Heart of Thorns. Maybe another raid's coming out as well. Maybe more fractals are coming out as well. This just makes Heart of Thorns a lot more valuable, and the price tag can really justify the content that we're getting. So that's why I think this first comment I went over was probably the best comment in the entire Reddit AMA, because it really showed how dedicated the team is to releasing content and really pleasing the players. I'm really excited to see this, and I can't wait to the next update to see what else they have planned. I have not even gone through half of the things that Ember Bay has to offer, so hopefully the future maps are also going to be just as great, as long as they can uphold the quality bar that they're at right now and that last episode had. Then I think we're in for some really good content. Now, it also was stated that LFG system will be updated again. Just a small update. Ember Bay and the Fire Island chain region will be added to it so that you can actually create parties for Ember Bay. They also mentioned hearts. A lot of people like the hearts in the Ember Bay area. They were repeatable, they affected the daily achievements for the map. A lot of people liked how these hearts function. And one of the questions that developers were asked is if they could basically streamline the system across other maps, so other maps have a similar system, repeatable hearts, affecting the daily achievements for that specific map. And we were basically told that the new heart system is not going to be streamlined across other maps. It's very unlikely that older hearts will be revamped, but what they did say is possible is that future maps could possibly have this same system in place where hearts can be added and repeated and basically streamlined just like they were in the Ember Bay area. And that's nice to hear, because I love the new daily achievement system that we have in each map, such as Bloodstone Fen and Ember Bay. It gives you a reason to go back. It gives you rewards, and you have an incentive to go back to these maps. And I really like that about the new heart system. Sad to see that the other maps can't get that same incentive or can't get that streamlined, but it's good to see that future maps will definitely have the system in place. Now, current events were also touched on. Basically, these current events that we've had in between major releases are going to be the content that we get in between holidays, in between Living World Season 3 episodes. That's where we're going to get these current events, which I'm fairly happy with. I like the current events. They give you something to do. They do give you rewards. They basically give you small bits of the story that you can piece together. They don't progress the story forward as much, but they give you more insight on what's happening in the story. So I think these current events are really great, and I think it's a great idea to have these as content fillers in between those 2-3 months, where a small team can just work on current events while everyone else works on some of the bigger content that will be released in 2-3 months time. So that's basically how the current events will work. They're all going to stay in the game, and they're all going to be released in between these gaps where we're waiting for new content to come in. Legendary armor was also talked about. It obviously still is not ready. However, the heavy armor set is close to being done, and we may get a sneak peek of the legendary armor. There will be a video possibly be releasing soon that shows off at least the heavy portion of the legendary armor. Now, I did see that the light armor portion will basically be based off of the robe type look, and the medium armor will basically be based off of the trench coat style. So the styles of these armors are fairly similar to what we're used to them, but I have not seen how they look yet. Nobody's seen how they look yet. Hopefully we'll get that sneak peek video soon, and we can sort of get an idea of what these legendary armor pieces look like. With the recent release, we also have a new Fractal Vendor, which basically allows you to buy Ascended gear. Well, one of the people in the AMA asked whether the Heart of Thorns stats could be added to the Fractal Vendor. If you take a look at the vendor right now, there are no Ascended gear with the Heart of Thorns stats, such as Viper or Commander or whatnot. We just have the regular stats that Corteria offered. And I think it'd be really cool if we had the option to buy even the Heart of Thorns stat type Ascended gear, because a lot of people don't like crafting. This is another option for people who don't like crafting, even though crafting will always remain, I think, the cheapest way to get your Ascended gear. People don't like crafting, though. You can possibly get your gear by buying it. If you have a ton of gold, you can buy it from the Fractal Vendor, but you cannot buy the Heart of Thorns stats. Developers basically said that because the Heart of Thorns stat are Heart of Thorns specific and not Corteria specific, and Fractals is Corteria specific, it'll be kind of strange to have the Heart of Thorns stats in a Corteria area where everyone has access to it. If they do happen to find a way to put it into the vendor while restricting people who don't have Heart of Thorns, they'll do it. But as of now, it's not in the vendor, and right now there are no plans to put it into the vendor. But if they do try to, they're going to try to find a way to restrict it from core players so that they don't accidentally buy those things or have access to them because they don't have the expansion. That's the reason why the Heart of Thorn stat gear is not in that vendor, because it does affect people who don't have the expansion. We also received word that new fractals are being worked on. The last fractal we got was basically the Chaos Isle fractal, which was about 2 months ago, I think now. New fractals are being worked on, so maybe we'll see another fractal or maybe a few more fractals coming in the next major update. That'll be pretty cool to see. And if you're into raiding, a new raid is also in progress of being made. Don't worry, raid creation progress has not stopped. We didn't just get that one raid there that's sitting in the Maguma area. I'm curious to see where they're going to put the other raids. Are the other raids going to be still in the Maguma jungle, or will they be in different areas, maybe in small little areas that are tucked away, or maybe there'll be a new raid in the Fire Island chain area? I don't know, but it'll be pretty cool to see where they put it. All we know is a new raid is in progress of being made. When it's going to be released, we have no idea. How far along they are with the raid, we have no idea. All we know is that they're continuously working on it, and one will be released soon. There are also plans to rework all the other fractals, just like Cliffside, Swampland, and Snowblind was reworked. They are trying to improve all the fractals so they're up to par with the newer fractals. However, the focus right now on fractals is to get new fractals into the game. That's the focus. That's what their goal is. After they get new fractals in, they'll try to revamp the old ones and improve them so they're up to par with the newer revamped fractals and the new fractals. One of the developers also told us that Legacy of the Fullfire, the PvP map, is pretty much the most popular map in the community, which is not hard to see, seeing that whenever you play ranked, everyone picks Fullfire always when it's available. But one person did say that they wished it could be revamped, and developers did say that they are looking to revamp it in the future. In fact, if the PvP community doesn't like a specific map, they can very easily just say so, post in the forums, post on Reddit, and the PvP team is very willing to listen to feedback and try to revamp maps that people don't like. So if you don't like a specific map and you have enough people who agree with you, they could possibly take a look at it and change it, just like they did with Skyhammer, just like they did with Spirit Watch. But they are aware that Fullfire needs a revamp, and they're going to be looking at it in the future. Something that was also addressed was the balance changes. There were no balance changes this update, obviously, because we're in the middle of the season, obviously. But it was once again stated that major balance changes are only going to be happening during a PvP off season, which was pretty obvious, but some people were surprised that there were no balance changes. But for those of you who were curious or didn't know, it's only going to be happening in the off season. As for War vs. World, deployable cannons will be in beta coming very soon, as well as some more scoring updates and quality of life changes for the War vs. World game mode. That's going to be coming up next. There will also be several balance changes in the next balance update that were specifically made for War vs. World, and obviously lots of other War vs. World updates are coming in the future as well. We are still working on that big War vs. World overhaul. Not many specific things being told to us, just general things being told to us, but we do know that deployable cannons will be coming in beta very soon, so that's pretty exciting. The repair hammers are also going to be decided on whether they want to be kept in the game or not. There will be a poll coming up very soon for that as well, whether the community wants to keep them or not. And that's pretty much everything we got for War vs. World. Another question we had was whether the Mac client would be basically up and running soon. The Mac client has been something that's been worked on for a long time now, and we did receive word that the Mac client is almost done. They are basically fixing a few more bugs. They got characters running around in the game. It seems to be working to some degree, but they do still need to fix some bugs, and once that's done, the Mac client will be live. Now, one thing that I speculated on before was this new build system that we have in PvP. You know how you can now select a default build? It's basically a template that ArenaNet put into the game. Well, we had one question ask if there's going to be any build template support for PvE. The response that we got was basically that there really is no plans for having a PvE build template brought to the game, which is sad to hear because I really wanted to see some PvE templates. They didn't say whether it's not going to be for versus world or PvP. Obviously, PvP will probably be getting some build templates because it only makes sense. They have a lot of space on the UI left in that little section where you open up to select your stats and select your stuff. And they do have the technology built in to actually create your own builds and actually save them as a template. So for PvP, I think we're definitely going to be seeing a build template, but for PvE, it's very unlikely, and they really don't have any plans for that. So unfortunate, but I guess that's what they're doing. And lastly, the problem of leather was addressed once again. It seems like every time we have the Reddit AMA, someone's always asking about leather. When is the leather problem going to be fixed? And we always seem to get somewhat a similar answer. Apparently, there's a lot of leather in supply, which I find hard to believe because the prices are so high. It seems like there's not enough leather in the economy. But according to developers who are basically in charge of the trading post, and they're observing the trading post, they see all the numbers and they're analyzing it, there is apparently a lot of supply of leather. Also a lot of supply of flax. But the problem is, since people are a lot more wealthier now, and this is probably because the daily system, everyone's getting 2 gold, and like I said in previous videos, it seems like everyone's a little richer. I have a lot more money now than I used to have previous years in the game. I know a lot of people also have a lot more money now than they used to have before. So the fact that everyone's a bit more richer, some of them aren't really selling any leather, some of them aren't really farming for it and selling it. And what's interesting to me is that the developer said that people aren't farming for leather. Well, there's not really a way to farm for leather. I mean, leather, just like some of the scraps, are very hard to farm for. So I don't know why they're saying people are not farming for leather, because I can't come up with a way to farm for leather. What's the solution? We basically have to wait. That's what we're doing. We're waiting to see if the market will actually change and whether they are gonna find a new way to bring more leather in. Like I said in the past video, they have made some progress and taken some steps to resolve this issue. By, in Bloodstone Fan and an Ember Bay, you can now get salvageable items that actually salvage into different tiers of leather. That's one way of actually solving the issue. They also have leather nodes now for your guild hall that you can basically create through the guild system, through decorations and whatnot, and upgrading your guild hall. So that's another step. Actually, in World vs. World, there are now leather nodes as well. So there are small steps being made to address this problem. But it seems like some people are still not happy with the situation, and leather is still at a very high price. And according to ArenaNet, it's fine, and they're just going to wait. But the player base obviously has a different opinion. But that's basically everything that we got in the Reddit AMA. Those are all the big things that I thought were important. Those were all the interesting things that I thought were cool to list and let you guys know about. Let's go ahead and jump into legendary weapons right now. There was a news article posted last week about this and how legendary weapons are changing, how their journeys are changing, and how it's something that they don't want to really focus on as much. They want to focus on content that everyone can play. And before everyone starts getting mad about this, as they got mad about the supposedly cancellation of the weapons, let's quickly take a look at why they're doing this and how this is actually something positive, I feel, for the entire community. Now, legendary weapons were actually really hard work according to developers, and by the looks of it, they were hard work. I mean, you can take a look at any legendary weapon collection or legendary weapon journey. It had 4 parts to it. 2 parts were heavily focused around doing mini quests, and a lot of it was revolved around kind of like lore, kind of like little scavenger hunt quests, especially a Chuka and Champawat one. I really enjoyed that one, where you basically have to find the tiger and go across different maps and follow them. That was a very in-depth system, and a lot of other weapons had that same in-depth system. So there was a lot of work being put into these legendary weapons and collections. They were very deep, and a lot of people enjoyed that depthness of the legendary weapons. However, with that depthness came a lot of work to it, and it took a very long time to create these legendary weapon journeys. What they basically decided to do is that they wanted to continue to create the legendary weapons, obviously, because it was marketed for Heart of Thorns and because a lot of people like legendary weapons. However, they also recognize that a lot of people don't like legendary weapons. A lot of people don't want to craft a legendary weapon. A lot of people, they don't really care for legendary weapons. So instead of focusing on a small population of the game that want legendary weapons and basically dedicating a whole team to it and creating this huge extensive stories and these huge extensive collections and in-depth quests and missions to get your legendary weapon. They're actually going to simplify the system a bit so they can move some of the developers working on the legendary weapon project to things such as current events, which a lot more people are doing and everyone in the game can enjoy. Now, quite frankly, I'm not a big fan of legendary weapons. I mean, I like them. I think they're really cool. I'd love to have one, but am I basically throwing stones at ArenaNet for, not continuing legendary weapons? I mean, personally, no, I don't really care for them that much, but there is a group of people that cares for these legendary weapons a lot. However, how big is that group? It's not as big as the general population of the game. So the focus is going to be a bit more on things like current events, things like living world, things like PvE content, things like that basically, which have a larger audience, which have a larger player base, and at the same time, they're going to dedicate a smaller group of people to basically create these legendary weapon journeys. So in the end, we're basically getting the best of both worlds. We're getting legendary weapons, and we're still getting things like current events and other PvE related content like fractals and raids, and probably some of these team members are working on PvP even, who knows. The bottom line is that they're basically simplifying the system so they can spread out the resources a bit more and please everyone. If you think about it, legendary weapons were so in-depth and there were so many collections and they required so much work that they were basically taking resources away from other parts of the game, such as the current events system that everyone could enjoy, and putting them to a part of the game that not everyone enjoyed, but only a small portion really did. So they want to satisfy the general population. They want to satisfy a smaller group to have legendary weapons, want to go for them, and this is how they're doing that. Now, yes, that is kind of disappointing because I really liked how in-depth these journeys were, but I can completely understand where they're coming from. They want to please the general audience, and they want to put their resources in more general things like the current events, and that makes sense. At the end of the day, why did they actually create this entire system? Well, it was so that you didn't have to throw a bunch of gold into trading posts to buy one, so you didn't have to have a ton of luck to actually get one from the Mystic Forge and waste your money. The reason why they created this system is so that people who wanted a legendary, who wanted to get a precursor without having to use money, without having to, have luck or rely on RNG, those people who wanted to get that legendary and get that precursor without those constraints, they could do it. There's a system in place now. You can get a precursor, you can get a legendary through the system. So as long as the system is there, it should be sufficient enough. The fact that it's not as deep as you may want it to be is better than them canceling it completely. So I guess that's kind of something that we have to accept. They're not going to be as in-depth as the previous ones were, but they do get the job done. They do allow you to accomplish what the system was meant to accomplish. So how has the system changed? Well, like I said, the first and the fourth part of the legendary journeys usually involved a lot of scavenger hunting. They involved things that got you a bit more involved in the journey. They got you out in the world of Tyria collecting things and basically completing different collections. Now it's going to be a bit more focused on collecting materials and bringing them to the craftsman guy, getting the recipe and crafting the things you need. Yes, it still requires you to do some collecting. Yes, it still requires you to have some gold and invest some gold in it, but it definitely isn't going to cost as much as Precursor will, and it definitely won't require you to have as much RNG luck as the Mystic Forge will. That's the bittersweet ending to this whole legendary drama, I guess. Like I said, it is a bittersweet ending. They are making some sacrifices, they're making some compromises, and I guess that's what life is all about sometimes, making compromises and making sacrifices. So at least legendary weapons are continuously being made. People can enjoy that, and at the same time, people can also enjoy the other content that part of the legendary team is now working on, because they basically rearranged their teams, I guess. And like I said, they'll be released when they're ready. It's not guaranteed that we'll get a legendary every single update, but it is guaranteed that they're continuously working on them and they will be released, and they're not indefinitely canceled or indefinitely suspended. They will be coming out. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over today. I just want to talk about legendary weapons, I just want to talk about the AMA, and we basically summarized both of those things. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you found it informative. If you have any questions or comments, leave it down in the comments section down below. I'll definitely be down there answering any questions you have. Also talking with you guys as usual. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go and subscribe. Lots of other Guild Wars 2 content on the channel. Lots of other gaming content in general. So if you like gaming, if you like Guild Wars 2, if you find these videos helpful, you find these videos informative, entertaining, go and subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you on board. You can also donate $8 to my Patreon page. Anything as low as $1 is very helpful, very much appreciated. Click the card in the top right hand corner of the screen and it'll bring you to the page. I also have a vlogging channel, music channel, advice channel, and a tutorials channel. You want to check that out. Links in the description as well as on the end card. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching as always. And this is GSmaniamsmart, and we'll be back sooner than you think. Don't go anywhere.